Welcome you to the NBA 2K25 Summer League from Las Vegas, the home of the biggest NBA Summer League for 20 years running now. On another hot day at the Thomas & Mack Center, the campus of UNLV. All 30 teams are here. Their fans represented as well this afternoon. The 11-day tournament kicking off. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New Orleans Pelicans coming up. And you know there'll be a ton of Lakers fans here later. We'll bring you the group drawings for the second annual in-season competition, followed by this young man. You may have heard of his pops, Bronny James, the Los Angeles Lakers second-round pick. They will take on the Houston Rockets, and the top two picks in the draft will go head-to-head. Zachary Risachet, the Atlanta Hawks, Alex Sarr, the Washington Wizards, all coming up on this first day of Summer League action from Las Vegas. So good to have Tim Legler in the chair this weekend with me. I'm Mark Kestisher. George Sedano will be here in just a moment. Two very interesting teams on the macro level. We'll start with the Minnesota Timberwolves, who made a run to the Western Conference Finals. And in the draft a couple of weeks ago, Tim, they made a run up the draft board, trading up to 8 to grab Rob Dillingham, the guard from Kentucky.
Yeah, after a great postseason run, making a splash. We know this is a team on the rise. Very difficult to get an impact player in the first round of the draft, yet they did it with that trade for Dillingham. His game is tailor-made to the modern NBA. He can flat out score, run high ball screen, and there are minutes to be had in the Timberwolves rotation immediately.
Yeah, George, let's bring you in because it looks like 7 of the top 8 in the rotation come back. So if they're looking at some of these young guys, George, they're looking for the now.
Oh, there's no question about it. And Tim nailed it there, Kesty, because I spoke to Matt Lloyd, the newly named general manager of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he told me just that the plan is to integrate Dillingham immediately into this particular rotation and lineup. Now, with some of the other players, there's a difference, certainly. A guy like Leonard Miller, who they drafted last year out of G League Ignite. There's a bit of a plan to get him more involved over time. And then a guy like TJ Shannon, who's been in their system for several years, including through the G League, there's a possibility that with him showing what he's been showing during camp thus far, that he could be potentially a contributor for the T-Wolves, even though they were a conference finals team last season, Kesty.
George, appreciate it. And that's the one thing here. Look, what you see today, this is works in progress. We do have some guys with a lot of talent here. Everyone wants to get off to a great start, but opportunities to really be that role player on a good team.
Everybody out here is on a different journey. I mean, some guys have been around a while. They're just trying to get a crack at an NBA roster. Other guys we know are going to be with their team because they were first-round picks. They're trying to find rotational minutes. Everybody out here playing really for the entire league.
You know, and it's not just guys who've been here for the first time. As we swing over to the Pelicans, Jordan Hawkins, who won a championship at UConn a couple of years ago, he's with the Summer League Pelicans and getting ready to start today.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a big splash as a rookie. This is a guy that had the 5th most made threes for rookies in the league, and they're looking to get him some extra work handling the ball in Summer League.
There's our starting lineups, and Jordan Hawkins will be in the Pelicans starting lineup. Also interesting, Tim, the starting center, Yves Missi, one and done at Baylor, the number 21 pick, and they've got a lot of folks in New Orleans and their executive level and their coaching staff that are just impressed with the sponge that young man is.
You are going to see a really high motor. You're going to see somebody that goes after everything that comes near him at the rim. A pick and dive center. A lot of teams utilize that type of player, a rim runner, and then defensively be able to alter and affect the game in the paint.
So it will be Missi at the center position for New Orleans. They got number 21 pick, as you see, for the Pelicans, who went 49 and 33 last year. They also will have in their starting lineup in the backcourt with Jordan Hawkins, Isaiah Brockington, Keon Brooks also will get a start. I know it's a player you are looking forward to seeing as you see number 2 for the Pelicans coming up this afternoon.
No doubt. You're talking about a first-team All-Pac-12 player. He can flat-out score. He's got great length. Looking at the film on him coming into this, he was the guy I was targeting outside of the draft picks for each team, who you know are going to get opportunities. I was looking up and down these rosters, and Keon Brooks was a guy I absolutely am targeting and trying to get some run today.
Well, we had our nice little presentation here in front of us. The folks do such a great job putting it together here in Las Vegas, and we're getting set for the first day. First of 3 here inside the Thomas & Mack Center. Over at the Pavilion across the way, there's 4 more games. 76 games. Warren Legary you see there as well. He's the man who's put all this together.
Warren Legary represented me my entire playing career. That was my agent. Warren and I go back 30 years.
And we're ready to go. Brandon Adair, Danica Mosher, and Matt Callio are officials, and we're underway here at the Thomas and Mack Center. The Timberwolves, who won 56 games, the big Timberwolves during the regular year, came up shy in the Western Conference Finals. Rob Dillingham's first summer league shot here in Vegas is no good. Now, there have been summer leagues in California. Utah had one as well, Salt Lake City. These are two teams. This is the first time they're getting out. There's Hawkins right off the bat knocking down the
You know he can do that, and that's what I love watching Jordan Hawkins do, his ability to move off the basketball, relocate. They want to see more consistency out of him on those open looks. But you're right, these teams have only been together a few days, Kesty, so it's going to be a little bit sloppy at times, but guys are just trying to make an impression.
Josh Minot missing from outside. We had a chance to talk with Aaron Miles, the summer league coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, and he echoed those exact statements, like it may not be pretty as they look down floor for Messi, but we'll get into a set eventually. As you got to look at Aaron Miles there. Here's Hawkins.
Yeah, great job right there, setting up Dillingham off the ball, little jab to his left, fade right, feet set, ready to go. And you saw it's exactly what I was talking about in the beginning with Messi. This is what he's going to be doing. He's going to set screens 25, 30 feet, and he is so quick to the rim, so long you can throw it practically anywhere, and he's got an opportunity to go and finish. Really high motor, so he's got an opportunity here to get something easy.
Messi, 6'10", the number 21 pick, was born in Belgium, was raised in Cameroon. It's amazing how quickly he has come. There was actually a thought process in Waco that he might redshirt last year. Not only did he not redshirt, by the end of the year, you know, he's averaging double figures and had come along so much farther on the offensive end than anyone had anticipated. And here he is, a first-round pick in the NBA. Dillingham cut off, 7 to shoot. Little floater from Rob gets his first bucket.
And there's nothing better than being the top pick on the floor right now, because the light is green as green gets for Rob Dillingham. He's already gotten 3 up.
Spoken like is it a former shooter, or you're always a shooter?
I'll always be a shooter. I just don't get open as easily.
Minot with 3 different Pelicans converging, committing the foul. Summer League is a little different from the days that you came and Rob Dillingham getting all this press early.
Yeah, he just has all kinds of stuff in his game. He's got the floaters, the step backs. He's got a lightning quick crossover. I can't wait to see what his future is going to be as a scorer in this league. But Kesty, you're right. I participated in the summer league as well. A little bit different. Loyola Marymount University. Maybe a tenth of the people in attendance. Most of the people in the gym in those days were actually scouts, more than anything else, and coaches, and a lot of European scouts and everything else, more so than the fans, which is what we have here today. Really turning out.
So Rob Dillingham's numbers there. Outstanding season at Kentucky. John Calipari's last, the 6th man of the year in the SEC. And his legs, you mentioned a couple times, he brings speed. We'll see the quickness of Terrence Shannon Jr. coming up a little later on. And there's some nice defense by Dacian Nix, but he can't corral the basketball. Nice find. There's Shannon with the finish.
2 great plays there. Nix with the ball pressure on Hawkins, and that's one of the areas they really want to see Jordan Hawkins. That's why he's here as a year 2 player. They want to put him in more ball handling, pick and roll situations. Gets his pocket picked there, and Terrence Shannon Jr., man, with a big time left-handed flush.
Dacian Nix, who came up through G League Ignite and is now participating in another G League, just signed a 2-way. Nice defensive play.
And Terrence Shannon Jr., a young man that was the Big Ten tournament player of the tournament in Illinois, can really score and can get it going, gets him in buckets and gets him in waves.
Speaking of a wave, we have a 7-0 run by the Timberwolves right now. Leonard Miller trying to come up with that offensive rebound. Pass knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with the Timberwolves. We talked about speed. How about this finish by Terrence Shannon?
Yeah, great job staying with the loose ball, and he came in, and I think he actually surprised Messi. Messi is going to learn. It's a little bit harder to time it up as well at this level. Shannon gets there earlier and finishes over the top.
We'll be talking to Chris Finch, their head coach, a little bit later in the broadcast. Look at Dacian Nix, another steal. This time for Minot. if you can play defense in Minneapolis, you will find some time in the rotation.
Absolutely. That's some serious hands right there by Nix. Again, Hawkins takes him to a spot on the baseline, but that's a great down strip and then the run out. Defensive pressure right now, a little bit too much for New Orleans to handle.
9 consecutive points, as you see, for Minnesota. New Orleans 5 out at the moment. Baseline look, and Shannon comes over and swats that one out of bounds.
Well, do you think you're getting an early theme here, Kesty, of what's important to the Minnesota Timberwolves? Yes. By the athleticism out here, the intensity. These guys are all understanding what it's going to take to impress a Minnesota Timberwolves coaching staff that's in attendance because of the way they defended a year ago.
Late clock, Misi tried to knock it off a Minnesota player but couldn't. That's a great point, because you don't play defense, you're not playing for the Timberwolves. They were the #1 defense in the league last year, 106 points a game. They were the #1 in all the metrics, defensive efficiency. The number that stood out to me was 23 times they held an opponent under 100. It's a lot in the modern NBA.
Almost impossible, honestly, in the modern NBA to even think about numbers like that. And that's more like typically something you'd see possibly in the playoffs when teams slow it down a little bit, possessions become a little bit more physical. But Minnesota, that's where they hung their hat. That's what their identity all season. They do it a little differently with 2 bigs on the court at all times. And you see the defensive pressure out of this group as well.
Thought we were going to get a timeout there, but apparently none was called, and so we will keep it here with Minnesota leading by 4 points early. And Daishen Nix defending the inbounder. He's been waiting for a little breakout, and I think, you know, it's Tim, he's been around now a couple of seasons, and you get that kind of mileage logged, you can certainly take advantage here at Summer League.
You have to. And again, you understand the circumstances. You understand how difficult it is to make a roster. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to press somebody in the league. You're playing for every team when you're in a situation like this.
2 good looks by the Pelicans. Neither would fall down, but it goes out of bounds, staying with New Orleans. I was at the Charlotte Hornets practice yesterday, and a perfect example of what you say. Bryce McGowan, who'd actually been waived by the Hornets, but was told, you know, if you want to play Summer League, you can. As Hawkins, nice job hitting out of the corner 3. Not only did he stay, he played in the California League, averaged almost 20 points a game, and he got signed by Portland on a 2-way deal. You never know who's watching.
And it could also lead to opportunities abroad. There's just so many opportunities now to continue your career and make money doing it. Some of these guys wind up in the G League. Some guys wind up on NBA rosters. Some guys will end up playing overseas.
Shannon hit a 3 on the other end and then tried to stop the Brockington dunk attempt. Brockington checking the fingers, make sure they're all there, and we'll head to the free throw line. Well, I don't think you could get off to a much better start than Shannon. And here's the blocked dunk attempt and the foul called on TJ Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon's got, he's got great strength, length, and he really wants to get after it on that end. And again, that's the easiest way, Kesty, to make an impression on somebody in this setting, because the offense is going to be very much hit or miss. There's not going to be a lot of flow to it at times because they don't know each other very well. So you're going to have to make a name for yourself and earn more minutes by your intensity on that end of the floor.
See Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota Timberwolves stud, back in the house here in Las Vegas, checking out the young pups on the team. Got to be happy with what he's seeing early on. Well, it'll be interesting to gauge from Coach Finch later on, you know, where the team stands. It was an outstanding run to the Western Conference Finals. Some disappointment, but not here early for the Summer League T-Wolves. Timeout in Vegas.
NBA 2K25 Summer League is proudly sponsored by NBA 2K25. All over everything. Rated E for everyone.
Not a lot of threes.
Yes, right? That's a good point.
Right? I mean, you're seeing a lot of guys take this thing to the basket. We've seen some transition opportunities, but we're not seeing the typical space out, 4 out, 3 out sets where guys are playing inside-out basketball, taking 3-point shots. Everybody right now getting downhill.
Shannon well defended that time by Antonio Reeves. It was a 2nd-round pick by the New Orleans Pelicans at number 47, also out of Kentucky. So Reeves and Dillingham going up against one another here, the former Wildcats.
And to the point I just made, that's what coaches are looking for, organizations are looking for in a setting like this as well. They want to see if you're able to break a guy down, as opposed to running a lot of sets. They're going to create certain spacing. You're going to get the basketball. That might be your last opportunity you're going to get on a given possession. They want to see your ability to create offense by beating the guy that's in front of you and making a play, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, and then showing that you know how to play after that takes place. Do you make the right pass? Are you looking in the right place? Do you shoot it when you're supposed to? These are the kind of things that people want to see. What's your basketball IQ look like? And a lot of times in a setting like this, that means putting your head down and trying to beat the guy that's in front of you to create something.
Well, so far creating well is Terrence Shannon Jr., 8 points, perfect 2 for 2 from the field, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Turns 24 at the end of the month. Played 5 years of college basketball. Nice find underneath and putting it up in it. Jordan Ford, who was a late acquisition here at Summer League by the Pelicans, had been with the Sacramento Kings.
The way it is in Summer League, Kesty, you and I didn't even have him on the roster sheet, and just steps on the court and gets a bucket.
I am not afraid to mention that we were in the green room, the ESPN green room. We're talking to Aaron Miles. I show him my chart, and I said, is anyone outside of X, Y, and Z, who you think, might have an opportunity today to impress you? And he's like, where's Jordan Ford? How come you don't have Jordan Ford on your list? A late ad, as you mentioned. Summer League action continues tonight here in Las Vegas on NBA TV, ESPN, and you could find all the games as well streaming on the ESPN app. The Nets and the Pacers will get underway at 8 o'clock Eastern on NBA TV, followed by the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers.
And Leonard Miller just stepped up to the line. He's an interesting story as well. He's an early second-round pick a year ago, got a little bit of a taste of it at the NBA level with Minnesota this season, and they're looking to see, a step forward for him. And I think this would be a good opportunity to show them how hard he has worked since the season ended.
Yeah, known for some rebounding prowess and athleticism. That time got beat to the spot, but it went out of bounds. It'll be Wolves ball.
Big numbers in the G League. 20 points, 9 boards. Productive in both facets. And he also can step out and shoot the basketball. He's comfortable stepping out to the three-point line, which feels like is almost a mandate nowadays if you're in that 6'9", 6'10" range.
That is one of the hardest things to make that adjustment as Miller misses point blank there, is to have those big numbers in the G League. They're not going to translate to the NBA, especially when you're playing on a real good team, as Joey Hauser hits a 3 there when you're trying to find that role.
No question about it. You're just not going to get the same number of opportunities, but this is what I'm talking about. That didn't look good, but I should have maybe said that. I might have jinxed him when I said he looks comfortable, because he definitely feels like he can step out and do that, and he knows that's the prototype now for the NBA. There's certain bigs that are going to be those screen rim runners. Most other guys now, they want to see you be able to space the floor, step out, and be comfortable shooting threes.
Well, you mentioned we hadn't seen a lot of threes. We just saw back-to-back for the Pelicans, and a Pelican foul there by Karlo Makovic. First, we had the three-pointer go down by Joey Hauser's brother Sam, just won a championship with Boston, and Antonio Reeves, who could shoot the rock. We know that in his years at the collegiate level.
Flat-out bucket getter. Reeves. Joey Hauser's got a beautiful stroke, which doesn't surprise you when you look at his brother shooting the basketball for the Boston Celtics.
It was shocking to me at one point when Sam had an 0 streak going. I was in the Eastern Conference Finals, early in the NBA Finals. I mean, you could tell me you shot over 50% one year. All of a sudden, you're just off, and you can't figure it out.
That was part of it. He also was getting played a little bit differently. When you get into a series and you're a shooter like that, teams can make a decision to have no help responsibility on you. And some of the looks you're getting in the regular season in a particular series are not going to be there, and it could be very difficult to find your rhythm. And I think that's what he ran into.
The Pelicans have heated up, and Jordan Hawkins helping them. They have hit 6 of their last 7 from the field since opening. 1 for 7. That's 8 straight points for the Pelicans, who have the lead. Minot over to Shannon. Nice ball fake. Pass not received. There's Jesse Edwards on the floor. If you're new to Summer League, 4 10-minute quarters. Really hard to foul out. You got to get to 10. How about Ford? Great move, but Minot able to recover and reject.
The level of quickness and athleticism right now on the floor for Minnesota has been unbelievably impressive.
Minnesota was the early hot team, grabbed the early lead, but the Pelicans have come back. Little defense by Minot.
With Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. I mean, that's as good as it gets on the perimeter defensively, particularly when your best player, Anthony Edwards, buys in to the extent that he does. So that's the prototype. That's what it looks like in the way they want to play. So that's an easy message to pass on to these guys. And look, they're executing that because they're flying all over the court right now trying to protect the rim.
This is Hall getting a shot up. Knicks got a hand in last minute. Josh Minot will lead the break. The Minnesota Timberwolves Summer League offering, and Nadir Haifi on the floor now, a rookie from France. The French Revolution in basketball has certainly arrived. We'll see that later tonight with 1 versus 2, and there's Haifi knocking down the 3.
Really difficult shot. Makovich with a great contest. That's palm on palm with a step back 3. Impressive.
Haifi is French Algerian. Never had an NBA player from Algeria, North Africa. Shot 37% for Paris basketball last year, and here he is on display. Knicks with a really sweet move.
And that was a great defensive play down here by Jalen Clark. You know, we talked about all these other guys already that are exhibiting this kind of defensive prowess. How about you get also the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year, who's now coming back from an Achilles injury with his first action in over a year.
Jesse Edwards with the rejection on one end. Knicks tried the no look behind the back. Here's the floater up, no. Hauser tip, yes, for New Orleans. Yeah, you look at that Minnesota 2 deep, and you see Gobert and Towns, first of all, anchoring everything. Jaden McDaniels, arms forever. And it all adds up to the best defense in the league last year that they need to now build upon.
If you wanted
falling
to
apart against Dallas in the conference finals.
If you wanted to go out and just hand out an instructional video on how to play defense to every single basketball team on the planet, it would be Game 2, Minnesota-Denver. Last year in that series, when they made the defending world champions look literally futile and inept on the offensive end of the floor with the amount of pressure that they were exhibiting and embarrassed them on their home floor. Of course, Denver ended up coming all the way back, taking the lead in that series before Minnesota closed them out.
See the defensive numbers there as Minot tried to get off a late clock 3. Reeves from the corner, a little bit off balance, knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with New Orleans. In your estimation, Legs, Gobert and Towns, why did it work well this past year under Finch and what he's been able to, how he's been able to put this together?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, there was a lot of people that were skeptical when that trade was made. In a league that's consistently getting smaller and more spread out, it felt like they were getting bigger and going to get a little bit more of a logjam offensively. It didn't really work out that way. Fortunately for them, Towns and Gobert are both adequate enough on the perimeter when they have to switch off, when they have to close out, when they have to cover ground to get the three-point shooters. But their whole basis is our perimeter guys are so quick, Cassidy, that we're going to be able to get out there, force people back onto the floor, and run them at 2 7-footers, including the Defensive Player of the Year. And it was a very difficult formula for teams to figure out on how to score.
56 wins last year. Minnesota in its 17th Las Vegas Summer League. Pelicans, nice little comeback here in the first quarter. 1-point lead, 10 seconds to go. We're going to hear from David Griffin, their Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations. Going to join us here at the start of the second quarter as Haifi for Minnesota gives them the lead with a second to go in the first. Matkovic, long court pass, no good. Pretty good first quarter for the first game at Thomas and Mack here at Summer League. T-Wolves by 1 after 1.
I'm just going out there and playing my game, trying to work on my game, and my teammates are doing the best they can to give me open shots, give me the ball. I'm trying to play make as well, get them open shots as well. So, yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job in the first quarter. Good luck. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Guys, back to you.
All right, George, thanks a lot. George with Jordan Hawkins of the Pelicans, who are down 1 as we open up the second quarter. And we welcome in David Griffin, the Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations for the Pelicans. David, thanks for joining us here courtside here on day 1 of Summer League.
Mark.
We appreciate
Thanks, Mark.
that.
Glad to be with you, Legs.
Griff,
Thanks,
good to
man.
see you, man.
You as well. You as well.
Well, we'll start with Hawkins because we just heard him talking to George. Outstanding young player, outstanding young man. What are the expectations here as we get to year 2? I know he got some time early in the season because of injury. What's the plan here going into year 2?
Yeah, I think we'd like to see him continue with what he's been doing so far that you saw in the first quarter. But in terms of the workouts heading into this, Jordan can get to a shot anytime he wants. And I think what we're trying to do a little better job of is getting him to sort of translate his athleticism to the defensive side of the court. And I think that's really where he's going to put most of his focus while he's here. I don't think we have any questions about whether or not he's going to be able to score. But what's going to get him on the floor with our team and with the varsity in a consistent level is his ability to defend. So we've got to get that to a place where the coaching staff is comfortable.
Is part of the reason also, you'd ask a guy that played a lot for you as a rookie to come year 2 to get more of an opportunity to actually handle the ball and play make, because that's, his wheelhouse we know is catch and shoot, scorer, but being able to get out there, run a high ball screen, make good reads off of it, manipulate the basketball, like things like that. Are you looking for that to be also an evolution for Jordan Hawkins?
Yeah, for sure. It'll definitely be an area of growth for him, and we're excited about this opportunity to give him that. At the same time, we've got a lot of ball dominance on our group, so him getting to mirror more of what he's going to do with the varsity is also something we want to make sure happens. So we're really comfortable with Jordan Ford at the point guard spot. I think you'll see he and Hawkins together quite a bit because we do want to put him into game-like situations in terms of what he would do with our varsity team.
Well, speaking of the varsity, there's a gentleman sitting about 10 seats away from us, DeJounte Murray, who you engineered a trade for. How important of that role that you have looked for, wanted to improve upon, and now have one of the outstanding young point guards in the league?
Yeah, I think we probably underestimated how important he was going to be just from a vocal leadership standpoint. He's come in and be very alpha right from the beginning. He's recruiting free agents for us. He's doing a great job of bringing the veterans together and sort of being a conduit for everybody in our organization right now. So we feel incredibly blessed that he's with us, and it worked out really well.
David, stick around. We're going to change the mojo here as Minnesota goes out in this run, and we'll continue our conversation with David Griffin in just a moment here in Las Vegas. How far you're bringing in new talent this year to add to what you had?
We're really excited about the group as a whole. I know everybody thinks we've got to invest in the center position a little bit. We actually are really excited about what we have now as a group. We're excited about getting to play small and fast. I think our coaching staff looks at the group we have as an opportunity to really grow. I think when you look at what we did last year and the things we struggled with in terms of closing out close games, one of the things we're most excited about with DeJounte is that's something that he's really comfortable with, and he's going to put people in position to succeed, whether he's the one taking a shot or creating for somebody else. And most importantly, he's going to play both ends of the floor, and that's really meaningful for us.
I've always felt that value in this league is created by impact, not numbers. So you look at DeJounte and what he was able to do in Atlanta and paired with Trae Young, it wasn't necessarily something that probably got the kind of results they were hoping. When you looked at DeJounte Murray in Atlanta, what were you seeing in him that specifically addressed something your team needed?
Well, I think one of the things that happened when he went from San Antonio to Atlanta is became much less ball dominant than Atlanta, and he was playing off of a ball dominant play creator in Trae. And a lot of what makes DeJounte special is his ability to make the right read. And so one of the things we wanted to add to our group was dynamic rolling playmakers, rolling finishers. So Yves Missy is one of those. Carlo Matkovic is one of those. We're excited about what we have the potential to do to put him in position to go back to being more of a point guard. And at the same time, because he was as successful as he was playing off of Trae, we're really comfortable with the fit with he, CJ, Zion, Brandon, etc.
So do you envision CJ being a little bit more off the ball than he's been in the past now with DeJounte there?
Yeah, I think even last year you saw him off the ball quite a bit. I've never seen a veteran that's a player of his caliber rework his shot profile like CJ did last year. The number of shots he took off the dribble went radically down, and the threes he was taking in a catch and shoot situation went up quite a bit because he learned how to play off of Z and Brandon. So we think he'll continue that with DeJounte available. But also, we've struggled so much with injury throughout the years that DeJounte gives us another playmaker that CJ can play off of, because CJ, more than anybody in our starting lineup, along with Jonas last year, has been bulletproof and is available quite often. So we're excited about our ability to withstand the adversity of a season now as well.
Question for you, David. You know, we're all kind of catching up on the new CBA, and it's a new world out there with the first and the second aprons. It's going to take me a little while to figure all this out. How has that made your job that much more difficult to figure out how to craft the team, keep it under fiscal control here as we move forward into the years where you're building this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think if anybody tells you they know, they're lying, right? I mean, we're all learning on the fly right now. There are incredible unintended consequences of the CBA, and we're all learning what those are going to be, and we're learning how to navigate them, some of them for the better, some of them for the worse. And I think, again, every team is learning on the fly, and we're no different than anybody else.
Talk a little bit about what you were seeing in Yves Missi. 21st pick for you guys. Seemed like there was a need definitely that you guys had in what he brings, but what were you seeing on film when you were scouting him that drew you to him when that pick was available? You knew he was the right guy.
Well, I think one of the things for us last year was we were 6th in defensive efficiency and 11th offensively with all of the offensive players we had, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And one of the reasons was that we didn't have a dynamic rolling playmaker. And so I think our coaches are really excited about Yves in that role. If Karlo Matkovic is able to evolve as quickly as he's showing he has so far, that would be really helpful to us, because the ability to create that single side tag is something we just didn't have last year. And Brandon and Zion being able to play off of that will be a really good fit for us, we believe. And Yves in particular, he's a kid who's really new to the game. Athletically, he's going to be the top 0.5% at his position, but he's also, as a human being, exactly who we want to be. You can see he can defend in space. So everything that he does that makes him raw is something we can address, but everything that he brings innately is something really special.
I had a chance to talk with Yves yesterday at your practice, and I had him at Baylor, too, in a broadcast, the Big 12 last year in Kansas City. I'm surprised at just how quick he picks up things. Have you guys noticed that in a very short time?
Very much so.
Him?
And Coach Drew and his staff at Baylor shared that with us from the very beginning. You know, when he got there, he was supposed to redshirt last year, and he picked everything up so quick they realized they were going to play him. Then they realized they were going to start him. Then they realized he was going to be essential to winning. And when that's your improvement curve, that bodes very well for a young big.
Well, we couldn't go this long without asking about Zion Williamson, I guess. Let's get there. Listen, it's got to be last year 70 games. I mean, that's the most he's played as an NBA player. I know it didn't finish the way he wanted it to in that incredible game that he was having when he went out with that injury and wasn't able to finish the game as your season came to an end before the playoffs. Tell us about Zion and the progress he's made and physically where he's at and how pleased you must have been last year to see him out there almost every night.
Yeah, I think, you know, the maturation process is different for everybody, and it takes time in different ways for everyone. And I think what happened to Zion is he realized this is when he needed to really apply himself to taking care of his body and doing the things he did, and you saw the results in the games played.
Thank you for staying with us through the break. We appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of Summer League.
Great seeing you, Griff.
David Griffin, Executive Vice President of the New Orleans Pelicans, joining us here in Vegas. Back for more second quarter action coming up. Love it. I ran into some of my favorite reporters here who I thought were going to Abu Dhabi, and that, you know, they're like, no, we'll catch up with the team in Paris. That's good. We flew in here a couple nights ago, and Team USA had their exhibition win over Canada. They had the long trip to Abu Dhabi yesterday, and we'll get set to head toward the Paris Olympics, and we'll see some of the great talent out of the country of France who had the top 2 picks in this NBA draft. Later on tonight as Brockington misses out of the corner for New Orleans. Hawkins not there, and a loose ball foul will go against Karlo Matkovic.
Yeah, but Jordan Hawkins just has one of those releases that every time it comes off, it looks good. It's perfect rotation, perfect mechanics, perfect arc every time. Now the consistency at the NBA level, that's going to improve as he gets more time up there. Everything happens a little faster. Your windows of opportunity are much shorter. Things are contested at a higher level, so he didn't shoot the percentages that he would have liked in his rookie year, but I think he takes a big step forward in year 2.
I like how David Griffin called it the varsity a couple of times, talking about joining the varsity. They have a plan, They have implemented it over the last couple of years, and then we ended it with the conversation with Zion. Obviously, his health surrounds everything. He had 40 points in that game. He went out with 3 minutes to go in the play-in against the Lakers.
Yeah, the play-in game, and a lot of people were looking at that as some sort of a benchmark game for Zion. And, he's had games like that, but there was something about that in that setting against that team to be able to operate the way he could against a big front line. People were just raving about it, and unfortunately, he leaves the game with an injury. They lose that game. Then they go on and get swept in the first round. So the season had a very sour note to the ending. But for Zion Williamson, there's an awful lot to take out of last year. Even changed his style of play, Kesty, to be a little bit more of a facilitator and a guy that has the ball coming over half court more often. So very encouraging overall, physically, for Zion, even though the year didn't end that way.
Well, the Pelicans came up just shy of 50 wins, 49 in the West, which is so packed. Was actually the 7th best record. They ended up as the 8th seed because they lost that game to the Lakers and then won the second play-in game against Sacramento. But it's not getting any easier in the West.
Not getting easier. Look, and that's what they realized. They go out and they acquire another all-star caliber talent in DeJounte Murray. And they've got some decisions. We didn't get into it with David Griffin, but they've got some decisions with Brandon Ingram that they've got to make. That's out there. Is it going to be a max extension? Is it going to be a situation where he might be somebody they look to move and bolster their team in different areas? Because he's got such scoring capability. There are teams that are going to be buyers out there, but then you've got to re-sign Brandon Ingram. So there's a lot there at play with that that's going to really shape a lot of what this team looks like next year.
Brandon Ingram going into the last year of his deal, a 5-year, $158 million deal. And the max for him would be 4 years, $208 on an extension. And the question is it palatable for New Orleans to go there? And is there another team that might want to take something on?
And it's tough in his case as well. And Griff mentioned the injuries they've had collectively since they've kind of put this group together. Brandon Ingram figures into that too. He's had a number of things that have bothered him. Even didn't finish the year healthy, and because of that didn't play well in that playoff sweep. So going into the summer, there were a lot of questions about the Pelicans because they felt like they had more talent than what their year ended up being. And now got a new look with DeJounte Murray. So a lot of hope, I think, going into this season.
Well, we saw on the other end an alley-oop. This man who just had the ball moments ago, Carlo Makovic. He was one of those names that David Griffin brought up because they're a little more devoid at center. A deep 2 there goes down for Jordan Hall with Jonas Valanciunas going to Washington. They signed Daniel Tice, and then of course they have Yves Missi, their draft pick, and Makovic.
Makovic, when Griffin said his name, right, I was like, what? Wait a second.
Light bulb.
The guy making the personnel decisions for your organization just said your name, right, in a summer league game as a second-round pick a couple of years ago. That's a very good sign on what obviously they're seeing out of him on a daily basis. We're going to get a small sample in the summer league here in Vegas, but they're seeing the work put in every day. And him saying that tells me that they really like what they are seeing there, and he might have a spot for them.
Here's the bouncy Carlo Makovic. Saw him at practice yesterday, and that was the word, bouncy. He can get up there, 6'11" from Croatia. And back in Summer League, this is the 3rd summer of Summer League action. He actually was playing overseas legs and then came to the G League last year. So, that's how you're going to get on your GM's radar as well. George Sedano, as Makovic joined the Birmingham squadron and ended up playing 10 games with them.
Well, Kesty and Legs, it's going to be fascinating to see how teams deal with this second apron. And a lot of that, I think, will be utilizing some of these guys they drafted in the second round, like a Makovic, right? Or finding guys in the G League that they can have on their roster that are cost effective. I think that's going to be as important as ever in today's NBA.
It's a great point, George. And Lex, you got to look at the economics of it all. You can live with the first apron. It's that incredibly restrictive second apron that makes it very unmanageable to maneuver your roster in season.
Right, and the amount of money we're talking about in terms of salary structure for your team is not a huge jump, but the penalties associated with it are. And so now you're hearing that term thrown around an awful lot, and that's where it becomes very difficult at times to figure out how are you going to fill out a functional rotation. And you're trying to find those diamond in the rough type guys that may be a second round pick, or in some cases, you're going to have undrafted free agents or guys that haven't been in the league coming from Europe that are going to have an opportunity to make a team and potentially even get minutes because of what you're talking about and the financial restrictions that come with that.
Development, guys, is going to be obviously an integral part of what they do. And let's not forget there's talk of expansion. So I think that that also factors into this equation even further in a couple of years.
And guys maybe taking a little less money. There's reports out there that Jalen Brunson's taking significantly less money on an extension with the Knicks just to, keep it fluid in an ability with your roster as you look to go deep into the playoffs, as the Knicks nearly got to the conference finals last year.
As if Jalen Brunson wasn't already beloved enough
know,
in
right?
the city of New York, and now you're telling everybody that as well. What's the guy trying to do, own the city?
Build a statue now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brockington misses from outside, in and out in the final minute of the first half. Turning up the defense, New Orleans. Jordan Ford, who also the executive vice president of basketball operations, mentioned his name, and he's only been in a summer league uniform for about a day or two. New Orleans has missed on its last 12 three-point attempts. They went for Makovich again, couldn't convert. Leonard Miller with the spin. And out of bounds it goes to the Pelicans. Miller's had a tough first half despite the 5 rebounds. 2 for 7 so far from the field. We'll have a timeout here. 26 seconds to go in the first half. Short 60-second break. T-Wolves up 3.
Yeah, this is like the greatest moment ever.
The Memphis Grizzlies select Jaren Jackson Jr.
All my friends were there around the arena. Crazy. I was just thinking about not tripping going up the steps, how fire my suit was.
It's like a salmon-y.
See, I don't even know what that is. And then my dad was thinking about all the hours we put in, and I was feeling emotional for him and my mom and everybody. This is crazy, and I got a low haircut.
I'm not trying to switch heads now, like, come on.
People change franchises a lot, and I'm still here. That's like a big thing. You really gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, great job. That's a great job.
How you feeling like
Good stop sign, too. Great stop sign. When you score, get the ball, attack the ball. We got built-in help. Hey, our ball pressure is killing them. Our ball pressure is killing them. They don't want that smoke. Keep bringing that smoke to them. Keep bringing that smoke to them. All right?
Chris Hines and the Timberwolves defense look good early on, looking good late here in the half as well.
Yeah, it's just the ball pressure, and they're all over the place, and it's not just one guy. There's 4 or 5 out here, and they're going sideline to sideline with their ball pressure, creating opportunities like this, which is always welcome in this type of setting because the half-court offense sometimes can look a little ragged.
Chris Hines, former Alabama Crimson Tide, 36-year-old assistant coach of Chris Finch. And the Timberwolves Summer League head coach in their first half. Right now enjoying a 3-point lead. 20 seconds to go here in the half. Jordan Ford was a two-way with the Kings last year. Dribbling inside a half court. Shot clock under 10. Shot clock at 2. Hawkins was not out of his hands in time, and a turnover with 1.3 to go. Or did we get a foul there?
Shot clock violation.
Shot clock, and they were putting 2 seconds on the board. Gotcha.
And there again, that was just great help and recover all over the floor. It looked like Jordan Hawkins was going to get a clean look in that left corner, but the closeout forced him to put it down. One more dribble, which is all it took to get the violation.
Legs and I will be talking Bronny James at halftime, but we have another break before we get to halftime. 2 seconds to go here in the first half.
The Defensive Player of the Year.
Now Rivers puts down the shoulder block by Reed.
Blocked at the rim, Gobert.
Well,
You can challenge it if you want to, but not many have climbed Everest.
The French rejection.
Stifle Tower with the swat.
It's this year's Defensive Player of the Year.
Trying to tell them, many have tried, few have succeeded.
When will they learn?
Everything he does at that end of the floor, maybe the most impressive, GA, is what you saw right there. The ground that he covers at his size just makes him one of the most unique defenders we have seen in the modern game.
Changing, blocking shots, defending without fouling.
Dribble drive, push shot.
Oh my! Return to sender.
He'll eat your shot, man. That is eating a shot right there.
Absolutely.
DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year.
Back in Vegas, and you can see tomorrow's stars play right here. NBA 2K25 Summer League, July 12th today through the 22nd in Las Vegas. Get your tickets now at NBAevents.com. You see the QR code on your screen. Check that out. Legs, I know you've been here before as a reporter, here as an analyst. We talked about in the playing days. You know, we're going to talk Bronny James coming up, and you see a young fan wearing LeBron James Sr.'s uniform there. I mean, there wasn't even Las Vegas Summer League, but every team wasn't coming here until, you know, the last 15 years or so. No, it's quite a setup.
Yeah, outside of All-Star Weekend, NBA Finals, these are the three marquee events of the year. It's incredible what this has become.
Oh, what an incredible pass from three-quarters court. And Minot puts it in. There's still half a second to go. Holy cow. Messi. And that'll be the half of it. That was a pretty cool extra 2 points by the Timberwolves there before the end of the half.
Yeah, let's take another look at that pass.
Holy smokes.
By Nix.
Is that Nix? It was. Dacian Nix out of bounds. What strength threads the needle? Is that the Vikings or the Timberwolves? Halftime here in Vegas. Welcome back to NBA 2K25 Summer League in Las Vegas. Halftime, 45-40. Minnesota the lead. They were up 3. How'd they get up 5? This is a pretty cool play at the end of the half.
Hit him all the way there. Like a football pass. Like a football pass. Rob, you coming off. You coming off. Yeah. So you come, I want you like a wide receiver. All you doing is sprinting.
Five-foot pass from Dacian Nix that time, and Minot able to get the last 2.
Yeah, even harder than a football pass because that's a two-hand over-the-head outlet pass, basically traveling 60-plus feet in the air.
A little backdoor action to open up, and 1 on a nice feed from Jordan Hall to Hawkins.
I like that right there because Jordan Hawkins has been absolutely hounded and harassed all over the floor by Nix. So they're going to come out, and sometimes you can take advantage of a guy being that aggressive on the overplays and getting on the top side. So right off the bat, they want to come out. That's a design play to get Jordan Hawkins a back cut to take advantage of Nix trying to overplay.
3-point play for Hawkins, 14 points in his second Summer League debut. Just 4 for 11 from the field, amplifying your point, Legs. They, you know, that's the thing. When you're the guy here in Summer League, they're looking at you defensively, making it a little hard on him today.
Yeah, it's a cool feeling, like for Jordan Hawkins on this team. Like you're walking in the locker room for the first practice with this group. Right, he's getting treated the way that like Zion gets treated in a regular locker room because it's really kind of their show, and these guys know that it's going to be built around him because they're trying to see that growth in a player that's definitely going to be in their rotation this season.
Jordan Hall with a three-pointer, and the first 6 points of the third quarter belong to the Pelicans, and there's a 3 out of the corner from Leonard Miller.
Thank you, Leonard Miller.
Thank you.
You made a liar out of me. The first one you took that almost shattered the backboard that time. Feet set, and he stroked it well, and I saw him doing that, so I knew he was comfortable doing it, and that's what you have to do now. If you want to get minutes in this league as a power forward, you got to be able to step out and take advantage of the space in the clogged lane.
Leonard Miller, one of those guys who was more guard-sized in his early high school years, actually grew 6 inches in about a year and a half, and ended up being 6'10" guy, and only took 5 3-pointers last year in the 17 games he played with the Timberwolves. Not as much opportunity, obviously. Rockington in traffic couldn't finish. Dillingham's first half was a 1 for 5. Here's Minot, a strong finish to the half, missing there. Offensive rebound, tied up as Leonard Miller got in there, tied with Keon Brooks.
I want to see if Dillingham gets himself going a little bit here. There's probably a little bit of jitters even for a guy like that. You're coming out, you're the top pick, 8th pick in the draft. Certainly the highest profile player on the court right now because of where he was selected in the draft. Jordan Hawkins was a first-round pick a year ago, but you're the 8th pick in the draft, and you're going to a team that has championship aspirations. So there's a lot of eyeballs on you, and let's see if he's a little bit more aggressive and able to show some of that dynamic scoring ability here in the second half.
And in that tie-up, Leonard Miller took the worst of it. You saw him writhing there in some pain, is still down on the floor. He had the position and then got hit right in the face. We will update his status coming up.
And then your vision's a little bit blurry, so he looks like he took a second, got himself right. Now here we go with the jump ball.
And he gets to jump it up, and he got to the tap first, but chasing it down, Minot. So the Timberwolves will keep it here. Late clock in this third quarter. Pass intended for Shannon. Tipped out of bounds.
And I should have pointed out, nothing worse than taking all that abuse and getting your eye hit, and then all you get out of it is a jump ball.
Right.
I tore my ACL in an NBA game, and I jumped in the air, and I knew I tore my ACL when I planted. I came down with the ball in my hands. Called travel. I mean, you talk about insult to injury.
Exactly.
You're laying there, you know, and you got a serious problem going on, and they're giving you a turnover to boot. As a guy that prided myself in not turning the ball over, Kesty, that hurt.
That hurt in many ways. Out for a long time and an extra turnover on the stat sheet. Shannon saw the shot clock winding down, had to force one up, and that turned to be his first miscue of the day. It opened 4 for 4 here at Summer League.
Had a perfect day going, and then ends up with that, late clock heave.
So Miller won the tap, but then comes out, and you just saw he's being attended to at the end of the Timberwolves bench. Jordan Hall being harassed by Josh Minot, who's hoping to turn some heads here in his 3rd Summer League with the T-Wolves. Jump shot not there. Knicks rebounds. I think Daishen Nix probably should have 2 steals on his ledger. Only 1 on the stat sheet last I saw. He had a couple of good picks early in the game.
Yeah, 2 strips from Jordan Hawkins in the first 3-4 minutes of the game.
Now, we will have 76 games over this 11-day period at the Summer League. Everybody plays 5 games here in Las Vegas. 4 games you know about that have already been scheduled. And then the top 4 teams, after those 4 games are played, will move on to the playoffs as the Timberwolves defense gets the steal. Here's Shannon with that left hand again.
Great vision that time by Dillingham. I was looking at his eyes. He picked the ball up in the backcourt. He immediately glanced to his right. He could see Shannon was trailing him by 5-6 feet, and his hard push set that entire thing up. He knew where he was going with the basketball the entire time from the second he got it.
Dillingham with the swipe, doesn't have numbers. Had Shannon trailing, couldn't find the angle, and they couldn't finish. That is one of the areas that the Timberwolves are looking to improve upon. As Isaiah Brockington knocks down the long jumper, is transition for Minnesota. And one of the reasons they picked up and traded up for the speed of Dillingham and added for the speed of Shannon is perhaps those guys can help in that area at some point.
And they've got athletic wings on that team, so they want to get that push, and they want minutes. When Mike Conley's off the floor, they want a guy to be able to come in and be explosive and dynamic in the minutes that he gets, backing him up.
Minnesota turnover. Hawkins couldn't complete it on the other end under some duress. Dillingham catch and shoot. No. Technical foul is called.
I believe that's on Jordan Hawkins.
I thought he was pointing that way too.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about a second ago with Dillingham. Picks up this loose ball, and right there he glances over and he sees Shannon, and he knows where he's at. So now his job, push it to the rim to occupy both defenders, knowing that he can hit Shannon as a trail with no ability to recover defensively.
Indeed, Jordan Hawkins with the technical foul, and Terrence Shannon Jr. will shoot the technical free throw.
Probably one guy in this game with the cachet to be able to get a technical foul. It's Jordan Hawkins, right? He's already got his year in, played substantial minutes for the Pelicans. Had a 35-point game, I believe, 35-point game. It's his high game for this season against the Dallas Mavericks, and gets a tech here in the Vegas Summer League. Probably, I'm guessing, the first one of the Vegas Summer League.
It could be. We'll have our crack stats chief, Steve LeBeau, checking it out. He's giving me the nod yes on that one. Hawkins had 22 double-figure scoring games. 5 times he went over 20 points. That time he can't convert there. If you look at how his minutes were distributed last year, Jordan Hawkins got a ton of time early, and much of that is they were waiting for guys to get healthy. And so that afforded him some minutes as Nix gets the old wedgie on the three-point attempt.
I don't usually call wedgies, but I had a perfect angle of that.
You saw that coming?
I was directly behind Nix when he shot that, and I saw the trajectory of that thing, and it was not promising. And it ended up with that wedge shot.
Give us that form again.
Right there. I just saw this thing just sort of tailed off. Kind of like my tee shots on the golf course. But except mine have a much
soccer,
bigger
it's good.
slice.
You get the banana.
That's correct.
In golf, not so good.
That's right.
You got a nice golf tan working. I don't know if that's a golf tan, if that's just summer tan.
It's more of a beach tan than a golf tan.
Here's Dillingham's shot missed and a loose ball foul. Aaron Miles, the Summer League head coach of the Pelicans. And he, of course, spent a couple of years as the head coach of the Santa Cruz Warriors. 2-year Boston Celtics assistant. We had a chance to talk with him earlier today, and I don't know, maybe just showing my age, but I'm thinking of the back-to-back Final Fours as a member of the Kansas Jayhawks for Mr. Miles, as Dillingham converts.
That one looked smooth. Some of the other shots he's gotten have looked a little bit forced, like he rushed his release. That time he looked very comfortable, knew what spot he wanted to get to, went up, elevated, and had a pure stroke on that.
Steve Messi tried the spin move, couldn't convert there. Now Dillingham misses wide right.
One thing you can see about Dillingham, and you mentioned it, he is looking to catch these outlets, 30, 40 feet up the court on a missed shot. He's got a great knack for the angles and the pace up the floor, so he can catch that, and in 2 dribbles, he's in scoring range.
Well, the Timberwolves certainly happy with their veteran Mike Conley, and probably not a better guy to really learn from, to get under the wing than Conley. Maybe someday Dillingham's the successor, but for right now, you just soak up every ounce you get with Conley to be able to play with him.
It's such a luxury to be able to come into an organization with a guy like Mike Conley at that position, first of all, but also the blessing to be able to go with it as a top pick into a healthy situation with a team that's competing every night for something meaningful. That's difficult to find sometimes at the top of the draft. There's a reason those teams are picking there a lot of times, and they're in rebuild mode, or they're a team that's missing a couple more pieces, and it's not necessarily a winning environment on a daily basis. He's walking right into one, and that is going to absolutely help speed up his progression.
Headed to the free throw line is rookie Jesse Edwards. Played the bulk of his collegiate career at Syracuse. Last year dealt with some injuries in his lone season with West Virginia. First free throw no good. And a reminder, Summer League action continues tonight here in Las Vegas. NBA TV, ESPN, and the ESPN app coming up at 8 Eastern time. 5 o'clock here locally. The Nets and the Pacers over at the Pavilion. And it'll be followed by the Nuggets and the Clippers, 10 Eastern time. Those games on NBA TV. And it's interesting because you jog my memory back 2 weeks and you think of guys, there was a lot of green room invitees. Some of them had to wait a long time before they got called, but sometimes there's a blessing in waiting and getting to the right spot. Dillingham didn't have to wait long. He was number 8. And even if he's originally looked like he was going to San Antonio, but to come to Minnesota, a team that went to the conference finals, you don't ask for much better situation. That otherwise that it's hard to break through with an existing team.
No doubt. And when the Spurs took him, it would have been a logical assumption to think that they would like Dillingham, but they had already drafted a guard, Stephon Castle, with the 4th pick, and they filled a need. They definitely wanted to fill that need, and Castle's a little bit bigger, longer, better defender, not the offensive player that Dillingham is, and Dillingham's a little bit smaller, so they decided to move that pick and leverage it into something else that they think they need, and Dillingham ends up in a phenomenal position to be in as a rookie.
Well, his backup, Nadir Haifi from France, number 67, who's got the ball right now. He's had a really nice summer league debut as he converts there. Dillingham was the 8th pick. Shannon was the 27th pick. And Haifi, a real nod to the Minnesota Timberwolves right out of Paris basketball after 1 year. He's got 11 points here in his first summer league.
Very active, great aggression defensively, great ball pressure, fighting over screens, but then also converting. And that ball pressure right there is what forced this turnover for Knicks to get a breakaway and get an easy 2. All created by Haifi's ball pressure.
I don't know which is better, watching Knicks or Haifi with that hair flowing in transition toward the basket for dunks. Block underneath. Jesse Edwards. Ball taken back by Hauser. Pelicans down 4. We're under 3 minutes to go in the third. Reeves, corner 3, not there. Makovich keeps it alive. The Reeves likes that left corner, missing, and Haifi's got it for the T-Wolves. .220 to go here in the third, as the Timberwolves lead by 4 in their summer league debut. Oh, we haven't seen Jalen Clark tonight. He got stuffed that time by Carlo Makovich. Talk about that hair flowing, steals and scores for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Great job by Knicks. Reads a passing lane and sees daylight. Love getting those easy ones in summer league.
Let's talk about your summer league team here so far. Getting a chance to see Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. and others. What's standing out so far?
Yeah, I mean, I love our aggression, okay, and got a lot of team speed. We wanted to address our team speed this summer, and we did so with these young guys here.
Coach, talk specifically about what you saw in Rob Dillingham. That was a guy that you wanted to go and acquire by that draft day trade, which was really impressive to get a guy this caliber talent after the year that you guys had and picking where you were in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, all credit to Tim Conley and his crew, man. They were locked in and we were aggressive and they saw the opportunity. We were just excited. I mean, he came to me the night before the draft. He said, hey, I think we got a chance to move up and get Rob Dillingham. So I watched him. I hadn't really studied him a whole lot before that because I didn't think we'd be in the range. But we needed a guy who would be able to go and get his own basket, create pace, and also give us some future at the 1 position. And he's got the luxury of learning behind one of the best to do it in the league, Mike Conley. So we felt it was an ideal environment and opportunity.
And some time as well here, Coach, on Terrence Shannon, who is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum in that he's got 5 years in at the college level and looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, he is physically ready. We love his downhill ability. Physical offensive player, hits first, gets to the free throw line. Yeah, we've been really, really impressed with him so far in the training camp leading up to this, and the start is a good one.
Coach, did you cater this summer team to the kind of the way you guys like playing defense? Because I'm looking at all these athletes out here and the ball pressure and the way these guys are flying all over the place. Jalen Clark and Haifi and Knicks, I've been so impressed with how hard they're getting after it defensively. Is that something you were targeting and putting this team together?
Yeah, again, when Tim Conley came in, he did a great job of prioritizing defense and two-way players. And when you have a personality and a culture that kind of defense takes hold, and everybody starts to play it because they realize how important it is to play it to get on the floor.
Coach, I know we have about 15 seconds. It was a very disappointing way it ended after a great run to the conference final. Were you able to watch even a second of the finals, or did it hurt too much?
No, I ended up watching a lot of it. You know, it definitely hurt to not be there, but all credit to Dallas. They were the better team. We had chances early in the series, couldn't get it done. We kind of ran out of gas, but good learning lesson for our younger guys, understanding what it takes to make a deep run in the playoffs.
That was a heck of a year, heck of a run, and enjoy the rest of your time here in Vegas.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
appreciate
Coach.
it.
Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and his summer league outlet with a 6-point lead headed to the fourth.
This camp and this game today, what does that make you feel like hearing that right now?
It makes me feel good, but you know, it's just the start of the summer league. It's the first game. I just got to stay consistent, and we got to get the win.
Well, go get that win. Thank you.
Thanks.
Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, George. And Terrence Shannon Jr., who helped lead Illinois to the Elite Eight last year, and he just had it poked away out of bounds. You know, you feel good for Terrence. It was not an easy year last year. He had some serious charges he was facing out of the state of Kansas. He was arrested in December. He had been alleged a felony rape and an aggravated assault. He always denied the accusations and then was found not guilty. He had been suspended for a time and then was back at Illinois and had a great finish to the season. And with all that behind him now, he's got a great start here at Summer League so far.
He was, and you mentioned it. He finished off his year the Big Ten tourney most outstanding player. He's been the best player on the floor today, and he's doing it on both ends of the floor. I think he came out to try to make an impression here defensively, but he's also been very good offensively, putting the ball in the basket, making plays in transition, getting to the rim, and making a couple of very difficult mid-range shots as well. Very good start to Summer League for Terrence Shannon Jr.
Got 19 points, got a couple of block shots, and an 11-3 run right now by Minnesota as they have extended the lead here against the Pelicans in our Summer League opener.
So I look at Minnesota now. I think let's look big picture. You know, we use the word varsity teams. Let's talk about, you know, the year they had. We just talked about it with Chris Finch, and you say, after a run like that, and the way the season ended, what did they learn? And what did they learn about their team in terms of the front office personnel, the coaching staff? What did they learn going through that? And where do you grab the next rung in the ladder, Kesty? I guess that's what you're looking at with your team. So it can't be just as simple as, well, Anthony Edwards is just going to be even better, right? That obviously you expect to be true because of his age and the year that he had. You know, he's definitely ascending, but it's more than that. I think they've now addressed, I think, some backup guard minutes with Dillingham. That was an area of need for this team. I also think in the way they lost to Dallas, you know, Luka represents a different type of defender that you need. They had longer guys that were a little bit lighter. That doesn't affect Luka Doncic as much, right? The brawn, the physical strength to push back against him, as a Lou Dort did in the Oklahoma City series. Like, that is the kind of thing that affects him. So I think from an organizational standpoint, you look at something like that and say, well, man, okay, we were great until we got to that matchup, and that was something that they couldn't figure out. So now they try to take that step forward if they get to that matchup once again.
Well, like you said, they don't want to put it all on Anthony Edwards, but you look at the ascent from year to year, and certainly he made his mark last year in the postseason. He's going to make his mark. The United States fans are hoping in Paris. They played here in Vegas, and there is no shortage of disbelief in himself in Anthony Edwards.
No doubt about it. And even on a team with, you know, some veteran guys and a lot of championship rings on that Team USA. Anthony Edwards, who doesn't have one of those yet, the way he carries himself is, hey, I'm not just here to be here, to fill out a spot with all these, you know, veteran guys that have accomplished all these things. I'm here to be the best player in the world, and he was certainly very impressive against Canada the other night.
You know, when you look at the World Cup a year ago and you see Germany with the win and Canada beat the U.S. in the bronze, and look, it's a completely different roster for the United States, but it is a veteran roster against countries that typically, you know, play with the same players year after year. But this roster right here, I mean, this is something spectacular. Now they just got to go out there and do it. But when you have, was it Tatum coming off the bench for the U.S., I mean, and Anthony Edwards, just all this firepower that you can bring that no other country can bring that kind of depth.
Now, I believe that Team Canada, if I counted it right, has 10 NBA players on their roster as well, but not top to bottom the level of accomplishment that Team USA has. So it's always a weird dynamic, Kesty. You got 12 players. You can't play 12 the kind of minutes that they all deserve on a team like this. So it's really all about the sacrifice of the greater good, and that's what you're trying to accomplish in a very short period of time.
Well, Grant Hill did a nice job putting the team together as managing director, and doesn't get much better when you get Steve Kerr as the head coach, and they got a few more exhibitions to come before they end up in France for the start of the Olympics at the end of the month. Let's bring in George Sedano, because earlier in this quarter, George, we saw Leonard Miller of the Timberwolves go down. What are you hearing?
Yeah, he went down with an eye injury, came right back in the game after the eye injury, but he is now officially out for the rest of this game, Kesty and Legs.
Appreciate it. Had just stroked a really nice three-pointer out of the corner, too, right before that.
Unfortunate timing for him.
Is this our second wedgie of the game, by the way?
Second wedgie. One wedgie on each side of that rim.
There you go.
So that's maybe the first wedgie made it lopsided the other direction, and now it's straightened out.
I'm told you can take bets on that. I'm just kidding. Odds of 2 wedgies in the same game are 1,000 to 1.
Well, listen, also, if there's anybody out there that suffered from a double wedgie on the same day, you know that that's not a fun day.
I love it. If you're in a town where you could get a number on 3 in a game, good luck. Ivy. Ivy missing from outside. Ford, who has played some decent basketball, no good. An offensive rebound for Eve Meesey, their first-round pick, trying to create some space down low, and fouled by Edwards.
You know, I don't recall ever shooting a wedgie in my career. I definitely, shot some air balls here and there. And of course, you immediately go to the wipe of the shorts, blow on the hand.
Do you check down at the floor, crack in the...
yes, it's something.
Can't be
my go-to was immediately to blow on my hand and wipe it on my shorts because somebody threw me a wet outlet pass because they were sweating too much. That's kind of what my excuse was.
Yeah, when I ended up on the deck in my high school years, I didn't go as far as you. Untripped, just uncoordinated. You always look back. You think that look back. What was back there? What I step over? Meesey in his summer league debut. 6 points, 7 rebounds. 3-point game. Pelicans trying to make a comeback here in our final 6.5, and a turnover by the T-Wolves. Don't forget, coming up, still 2 more games after us. The Lakers, Bronny James, Houston Rockets, followed by the top 2 picks in the draft, and the Emirates NBA Cup medal show coming up. You're going to be a part of that as well, right?
I will be a part of that. Right after this, I'll be sprinting up to the set to join that group.
Don't sprint too fast in this heat. At least it's only about drawn well here in Las Vegas. We saw it at the in-season tournament as well, that they won last December here in Vegas, as Hawkins missed on the last-second shot. Loose ball, and Dillingham comes up with it.
To your point, there are games in the Vegas Summer League where you would think you are playing at Staples Center. Like, it feels like a Lakers home game when they're playing.
Keon Brooks with a big block there for New Orleans, but he keeps it alive for Shannon, who scores again. He's over 20.
Very impressed with Shannon today in every way. That was a ability there to attack a closeout defender. Didn't take a forced contested three, put it down, got to the rim in one dribble from the corner and finished. He's strong and he competes, and he's just a natural born scorer.
23 points for Terrence Shannon Jr. Played 3 years at Texas Tech, and then a couple of years at Illinois, led them to the Elite Eight a year ago in the NCAA tournament.
23 today, 23 he averaged for Illinois in a big final year, and there it is. That's just a great ability to close out and then cut off the angle so that defender can't recover to you and attack that rim protector.
So the clock is accurate now on your screen. We have 3.5 minutes to go here on ESPN2, and then you get Bronny James and the Lakers against Houston over on ESPN coming up just under an hour from now. Also the Emirates NBA Cup group reveal show. Mr. Legler will be there with the NBA Today crew. So Malika Andrews in the house here as well. So that's at the top of the hour coming up over on ESPN television. And following Lakers Rockets, the top two picks, Risa Shea and Sarr, Atlanta and Washington still to come. Shannon can't hit from outside. Loose ball, foul is the call. And it'll go against New Orleans. And that'll bring us to a timeout. There's Malika up there. That's our stage set. Bobby Marks also as well. Front row, they'll have that show. The Emirates NBA Cup group reveal coming up top of the hour on ESPN.
To dribble on the part of Terrence Shannon Jr. And that is very impressive to be able to get 23 and do it this efficiently.
And second time in this quarter, right? He got called to travel there.
2 times in 3 trips, I believe. Same exact area of the court.
Left wing, 8 for 13 shooting for Terrence Shannon Jr. Couple of block shots as well to go with those 23 points here in his Summer League opener. Final 2:40 to go in a 2-point game. New Orleans a couple times this afternoon has made the comeback, did it in the first quarter, and has done it here so far in the fourth quarter. Jordan Hawkins still on the floor. Hall with the floater off the glass, not there, and Shannon grabs the rebound. You know, one of the names we haven't mentioned for Minnesota as we talk about carving out some opportunity for time, as Dillingham misses the 3, and a loose ball foul is going to go against New Orleans, as Jaden Ledee that time had position. Is Joe Ingles, the veteran sharpshooter, was another nice pickup by Minnesota. Got a 1-year deal.
Yeah, just phenomenal passer, ball mover, great IQ, great size as a facilitator. Vet, nice addition. That Dillingham, you can see he missed that shot. Again, that's right in his wheelhouse. That ability to drive hard at you, get separation, and then step back into a 3. And he actually had a grin on his face after he missed that one, because he knows he's missing shots that he could normally make in his sleep.
5 to shoot. Daisha Nix blocked that time by Hawkins. And here come the Pelicans down 2. Minute 45 to go here in the Summer League opener for both teams. Ford, good look from the corner. In and out. Shannon's got the rebound. 90 seconds to go. Nix was looking for contact and got the whistle. Jordan Hall arguing his case. And a couple of free throws coming with 1:27 to go here in the ball game. Daisha Nix from Anchorage, Alaska, via G League Ignite. And a reminder, you can follow our Summer League coverage over on ESPN at the conclusion of this game. Bronny James and the Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets, Wizards, and Hawks will cap the night over on ESPN TV. You saw Rob Pelinka there, the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers. As Knicks hits the free throws, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for Minnesota.
Let's see here if Jordan Hawkins wants to go get involved here as the sort of the vet of this group.
Turnover, Makovich trying to connect with Hawkins, couldn't, and then Makovich able to get a piece of that one on the other end defensively. Hawkins goes to the left hand, no, but Makovich is there to follow.
Now you want to open some eyes, that's the way to do it. First he gets the track down block when it looked like he had no position to catch Knicks on the breakaway, and then runs the court 94 feet for the tip dunk the other way to keep it a 2-point game.
6'10" from Croatia, played in the Slovenian league, and is showing some signs here, and Shannon's been terrific. 25 points for Terrence Shannon.
Yeah, straight line dribble drive using that wide shoulder base, and defenders just bouncing off of Shannon Jr. on the way to the rim.
Timeout called by the Pelicans, down 2 possessions again with 44 seconds to go. 74-70 Minnesota. And you always want to see the best out of their stars, but defense to offense, that's the name of the game in Minnesota.
Yeah, miscommunication on a dribble handoff, but he does not hang his head. Look at that hustle. He's far behind Knicks when Knicks had his hands on that basketball, and then great job tracking, following, watching the basketball off the Hawkins miss. Gets the putback. Impressive sequence there for Makovich. And then Shannon, like I said, he doesn't have a lot of wasted motion. He gets it, you're closing out, he sees an angle, he's going one dribble straight to the rim and going to defy somebody to get in his way and prevent it.
Terrence Shannon, who played 5 years in college, getting set to turn 24 at the end of this month. That's what you come here for, right? If you're Minnesota Timberwolves, you got your 2 picks in the first round. Dillingham and Shannon delivering the goods so far.
Absolutely what it is. We know that team they had. There are some opportunities to fill out sort of the end of their rotation and beyond, but not many. These are 2 guys that they drafted in the first round. They're expecting potentially to be able to find some minutes this season. And what Shannon is showing you today, the physical profile that he presents with that size and strength, that translates to the next level in his ability to finish against bigger guys and finish in transition and in the open floor.
Yeah, it's such an important trait with the really good teams and the front offices. You know, they didn't feel they were in the Rob Dillingham range. They're able to trade up to number 8, and then Terrence Shannon sitting there at number 27 for them. Very efficient use of first round in the draft for a team, you know, that went to the Western Conference Finals a year ago.
Great job to identify it. Spurs had 2 of the top 8 picks, so no one really knew exactly what their strategy was going to be, other than that they were going to get a guard. And once they took that guard with the 4th pick, I think that opened the avenue for Minnesota to be able to jump up and acquire Dillingham. And I just think he's going to be a great fit for this team.
Again, you always caution what you see in Summer League and how it translates to the NBA, but one of the areas that they were lacking, fast break transition, 21 fast break points so far here this afternoon. All right, so the Pelicans down 4. Hawkins, a good look for 3, no good, and rebounded by Minot and fouled with 36 seconds to go. Had a good look. I thought Ledee got there too, and you know, got a hand up on him.
He did, and I don't know if there was a little bit of contact. Jordan Hawkins thinks there was, but you know, these are the kind of looks that you want him taking, and particularly in this situation with this group. Pretty good ball movement part of New Orleans, but again, I've been just so impressed this entire game with Minnesota's determination to close ground and to cover and contest shots that normally should be uncontested shots in this type of setting, but Minnesota is conceding nothing defensively.
Yeah, it's great to see. There's a standard that's been set, right, for the Timberwolves. We've mentioned that over and over here so far as part of the storylines, but it's truth. There's a very high bar right now, especially on that end of the floor, and that has permeated its way all the way to Summer League. Half a minute to go, still 2-possession game, and a tough bucket for Hawkins that time.
Nice take. Understood the pressure's out there beyond the three. You're going to have to take it, turn the corner, and find a way to get something up soft at the rim, which you did.
Now you got to get a stop or play the foul game here to extend things, and Hawkins with the backcourt foul with 22 seconds to go. Here's the tough play by Hawkins.
Yeah, he came off that DHO at the top, and Nix was trailing him the entire way, trying to make sure he does not give up a three-point shot. To Hawkins' credit, he didn't settle for a contested one where maybe he's leaning or falling. He just put it down, took what was there because there's enough time to play this game, at least right now. Bucket and then the foul game, trying to extend it.
Hawkins 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists in his second summer league debut. Nix at the line, split him, offensive board, and Minot might have put this one away with 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, that should do it right there. Fundamentals. Put back off the missed free throw.
Josh Minot wants to turn some heads as well in his third summer league. Played 47 games his first 2 years with the big team, has 12 points and 8 rebounds so far here today.
He's been impressive as well. They've had a number of guys really that have impressed me with just raw activity, but also being able to convert. That's just absolutely wanting it and getting the inside step, the quick release into the lane off the free throw. That's expecting the ball not to go in, which a lot of times on a free throw situation, you'll see guys just sort of start to jog back defensively or prepare to set up some sort of pressure, but he was not going to concede. That ball was going in, and he rewarded himself and his team with 2 points.
Minot, of course, in his third summer league, but for Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr., first summer leagues for them, and so far so good for the T-Wolves, especially for Shannon, who ends up with 25 points so far. Tough shooting day for Dillingham, but did deliver on 5 dimes.
Yeah, I think of those 12 shots, there was probably 2 that I just thought were really difficult contested shots that were unmakeable for him, or certainly lower percentage shots. I think, you know, he had probably 8 other misses that just looked like exactly the shot he wanted to get, that everybody has seen him make time and time again. He put up big numbers last year at Kentucky, and I think he's going to, you know, continue to get better and better throughout this summer league. And if he gets 12 shots in game 2, I'm pretty sure you're going to make more than 2. He's going to probably be up there in that, you know, 6-7 make range, and maybe get a 20-point night if he gets the same quality looks.
20 seconds away from summer league victory number 1, 17th Las Vegas Summer League for the Minnesota team.
I will say, you know, a lot of times, Kesty, it's very rare in this setting to have somebody just completely stand out above everybody else in the game. But there's no question that that's what Terrence Shannon Jr. has done.
If you didn't know, now you know. Hawkins, 20 seconds to go. 3-possession game. Need a lot of points, needed in a hurry. Well defended, Shannon, and this time taking it inside. Isaiah Brockington with the bucket with 11 seconds left. Inbound to Nix, who will walk 90 feet the other way with 10 seconds to go in the ball game. Hey, good to see him take it seriously right to the very end.
No doubt. And these fouls here at the end are going to make my run time to the next
Well, that's
set.
a good point.
They're cutting into my run time.
You know, earlier in the fourth quarter, I'm like, oh, we're going to have plenty of time for you to get up there. You're still in pretty good shape, so
well, it's a good thing.
You shouldn't be sweating.
It's a good thing I stretched at halftime, because this is now going to be a dead sprint.
That rebuilt ACL will be coming handy for you here as Nix hits a free throw with 10 seconds to go. Malika Andrews, Bobby Marks and company getting set to cover the Emirates NBA Cup group reveal in just a couple of minutes over on ESPN as we conclude here on ESPN2 with 10 seconds to go. Here's a steal by Minnesota off the inbound. They just got to dribble out the clock. Minot with 2 seconds left says, you know what? Wouldn't look bad with 2 extra points, but couldn't finish. The Timberwolves do finish an 81-74 Summer League opening victory over the Pelicans.
Great way to start Summer League. 2 teams that really got after it today, and very impressed with Minnesota and the athletic ability and the athletic talent that they've assembled for this team.
Well, good to have you back here at the analyst chair. Tim Legler's going to sprint now up over on ESPN, and then we're going to really make them work tomorrow. It will get a double duty action. We'll have a double header coverage for you amongst our 4 games on ESPN2 tomorrow as the Minnesota Timberwolves get the victory over the New Orleans Pelicans 81-74. Again, about 60 seconds away from the Emirates NBA Cup group reveal coming up. Oh, there goes Tim Legler. He's got his game face on too. Look at him getting out there. Got to find his way with security help up to the ESPN television show that'll begin in just seconds, as we will conclude our coverage here on ESPN2 for now. Again, only day 1 of 11 coming up here at NBA Summer League on ESPN's family of networks, NBA TV, and the ESPN app. We're going to check in with George Sedano with the star of the game, Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yes, sir, Kesty. All right. I talked to you at the end of the 3rd quarter. You said you needed to rebound more. Did you guys accomplish that aspect of the goal?
We did a better job at it. Still some stuff we could clean up. Just hitting our man on the shot, but we did enough to get the win.
Yeah, no question about that. How did you get the win in a tight game?
Just stand together, stand poised, not panicking when they cut the lead down, but just stand together.
In regards to the stuff we discussed at the end of the 3rd quarter, right? Like just staying together with a group that hasn't worked together. How do you feel like you guys have made a leap there even in just 1 game?
Everybody just listening to each other. Everybody having a voice, knowing when to attack, knowing when not to, running the sets through all the way, and just stand together as a team.
23 points for you, obviously in attack mode the whole time, you know, using your body to your advantage. How did you feel out there individually?
Honestly, didn't feel that good. It can be better, but you know, it's just the first game. It's just the first game. We getting warmed up.
Be better. I'm curious to see what that looks like. Now, there's been a trend for contending teams to take older players, guys who have college experience like yourself. How do you see yourself potentially fitting in to a squad that was in the Western Conference Final?
You know, just doing everything I'm max, defending, running out in transition, and suiting the best players, suiting everybody on the team, just asking their coaches what they need from me and executing that.
TJ, congratulations. Thank you for the time.
Sure, thank you.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, George. Terrence Shannon Jr., 25 points in his Summer League debut. A victory for the Minnesota Timberwolves over New Orleans, 81-74. Over on ESPN right now, the Emirates NBA Cup group reveal is coming up. And you can see Tim Legler's made his way up there. I don't see any sweat. That's good. Malika Andrews handling coverage. You'll have that on ESPN. And, of course, Bronny James and the Lakers to follow the bottom of the hour on ESPN. But our final here in Minnesota, 81, New Orleans, 74. For George Sedano, Tim Legler, our entire crew, I'm Mark Kestisher. That'll do it from now from Las Vegas, where Summer League's just getting underway.